In today's video, we're going to be looking back at the old builds of Angel World, my old bedrock world that you saw in the intro. We're going to be remastering them for Angel City. You can see behind me that we have a bunch of skyscrapers ready. I imported these from Angel World, just took the Lightmatic and then just snapped it right into this world. And then we're going to be working on the new towers, 3 massive builds that we have here. First skyscraper that we built in Angel World was called Angel Tower. It's this one right here, the first like tall build that we made. After that, we built this one, Levanto Tower, and you can see we filled it with farms. This is imported from the world, so you can tell that I had to manually remove all the wheat crops in there. We used this to store a bunch of wheat in there. We had 6 levels dedicated to it. Some water elevators made out of white glass, smooth stone. Really not a lot of stuff going on there. After that one, we built this one we called Quantified. This build we kind of just like try to make something that was as tall as possible, so we tried having this reach to world height, kind of just like a long rectangular structure, not a lot of details into it. We had some redstone up here, but it wasn't that like, it wasn't that crazy. The redstone stopped working, as you can see, and all around just like an extremely boring build. This one I called the Stability 26. I tried building this out of like green stuff and like green resources, so you can see there's glass, there's wood, put wood all over the place, use as little concrete and stone as possible. There's this one, this is probably my least favorite one. It really did not work out well, and to this day, whenever I see this thing, I want to hurt myself, honestly. Then we built this one, which was called the Trade Center. It's also called the Dokusan Tower. Yeah, you can see here it's very triangular. It kind of like opens up a little too wide here. It's a bit obtuse at the end, and it looks really fat from this angle, which I never ended up liking. The grading you can see, so it goes from cyan, blue, magenta, purple, magenta, then pink, which I think is my favorite detail. I love that the most about this build. After that, the final one we built is Alexander's Tower. For the new city, I kind of wanted to remaster these buildings. I wanted to split the city up in 2 pieces, the historical center and then the financial center. So we're going to have a section of the city that has the hall, the port that as you can see in the intro, I've already worked on building. On the other side of the city, there's going to be the financial modern district. So I want to remaster these 6 skyscrapers. So I want to make sure the skyscrapers feel like skyscrapers and not just like buildings that were just plopped into it. And so I began the task of redesigning it. The first one I tasked redesigning with was the Angel Tower. The first thing I did, as you can see, was try to do these windows. The light gray concrete is where the actual floors are. So if we go to where the light gray concrete is, you can see that's where the floors really are. After that, I put glass, and then I put the glass inside of it. You can see inside, and then I put these gridded things on top. So I just copied and pasted on top, made one little grid, and then using this grid, I basically just copied and pasted it on each side of the thing, just with different dimensions. So you can see this one has slightly different dimensions than the ones over here. These ones are a little thinner. These like effects, these corners, I wanted a more dynamic shape, and you can see I was trying to go for that with the original one, but it just didn't work well. That's not even the original one, this one is. So I try to make sure with these shapes that they were as organic as possible. There really is no like secret to this. You kind of just have to keep doing it by hand until you figure it out. I can show you a screenshot of what I was working on. I'll show you a screenshot of, I kind of just like ribbed the designs, and then eventually I just connected them all and then filled the spaces in between. It got like 80% of the shape correctly, and then all I have to do was clean up the last 20%. You can tell that I kind of wanted to have like an antenna tower there with like the whatever this black thing is that towers have, like the satellite dish or whatever they have up there, especially that what they have on the Freedom Tower is what I use as reference to make the one on the Angel Tower. But as you can see on Angel Tower, I was kind of limited by the skills of my time. So for this one, I just used the tools at my disposal. I did the ribbed design that the tower would have, so you can see it kind of looks like the base of an antenna. And then I used iron rod so that it would look metallic, it would look gray, but it wouldn't look too thick. It would just look thin, like cables are holding it together. With the towers, I'm kind of trying to fix the mistakes that I wasn't able to fix or didn't want to fix last time. So for the main thing with Angel Tower that I wanted to fix is this rear. This part I hated looking at, and I don't know how I let that slide. It looks terrible, and I knew I wanted to fix that. So you can see over here, first thing I did, not the first thing I did, but I tried to make sure this looked good. Next, I decided to take up Alexander's Tower. I had an idea of what I wanted to do for his tower. It was very clear in my head. And the mistake for this one was that it was too isolated. It looked by itself. It was an interesting shape, and I like the way it looks, but it looked so out of place because of where it was situated. Make it a pair of twin towers. You can see less of what I was working with here. Kept about the same size and dimensions, so the tower is about the same size, even the footprint. It's actually a little smaller, but the detail is much more enhanced. So you can see one is purple with red and the other one's red with purple. I can kind of use the exact same shape, not have to rebuild the entire thing, but still have it look different so that you can tell it's not just copy and paste. On the inside, I asked Alexander if he would prefer having a nicer inside, but sacrifice the outside, or sacrifice the outside and have nicer insides. And he said to sacrifice the inside, make sure the outside look nice. So why don't I just put that grid on the inside, make it look a lot more geometric from the inside, basically, without having to add a lot of weird shapes on the outside. Had to take a bunch of space, had the colors blend in with each other, and from a distance, you can tell that there's like the building has a frame. You can tell it's being held up by something. You can just tell there's a grid on the inside. With shaders, it's much more apparent, in my opinion, because the light shines brighter. But yeah, I don't want to betray the original style of the build, what I had going on, especially since Alexander liked it. For the next build and for the last build, this is the Levanto Tower remake. You can see here the original ideas that I had. I was like, okay, well, the original tower has this like this shape, so I decided, you know, let's try this, let's try something. It really wasn't working. This was too big and too clean, I guess. This I couldn't figure out how to make work. Me trying to put like the shapes together, and it just wasn't coming out how I wanted it to. This one, the same thing. I tried, okay, what if I make it, instead of just going straight up, I had like dynamic shapes going up, and that also really wasn't working. And then I decided, you know what if I just use the original build that I used as reference. I basically copied and pasted the bottom floor of this build, enlarged it just a tad bit, and then used it for the next build. You can kind of see that the bottom is oddly similar, and that's because I used the exact same build, really. It's the same thing. Originally, this build was going to be completely just black and gray. I can actually show you what it looks like. You can actually see how I do these with Axiom, actually. You just select all of it. I'm going to replace the blue stained glass, which is the darker color. I'm going to replace that with black stained glass, and then I'll replace light blue stained glass with gray stained glass. And you can see this was the original color that I had it in, but Alexander saw the images and said, you know what, it looks a little too boring. At first I wasn't going to agree with him, but then he said try blue, and I was like, you know what, let's try it. As you can see, blue just has much more character. It blends a little bit better into the sky. There's a lot more color. The black looks a bit too formidable and a bit too just boring to the eye. So that's one thing I hated about the other buildings, is that you could visibly see, no matter where you were, that the building is completely hollow and empty. You can tell that they're hollow, but it's a lot harder to tell. Like this one's a lot harder to tell that it's hollow because of the spine and skeleton I put inside. This one, same thing. The glass has a gridded design. There's grids in front of it, and it's just harder to tell overall. This one's easy to tell because the floors are so big and because the grids are on the inside. Yeah, at night, you definitely can't tell. You could always tell no matter where you were. With Angel Tower, with this one, a little bit you can't tell. This one is very hard to tell. But with most of them, you can tell that they were empty. With these, I try to make them look filled. And at night, they definitely look filled. I think I did that. I think I did that really, really well. My port video, the video where I talked about the port, I think it's called Learn from the Past. I explained in that video that I want to work on like the planning for the city, and I want to explain to you guys what I'm working on, so you kind of have an idea of what the ultimate goal is. So what I'm doing here right now is putting a grid so that I can see exactly what the footprint of this building is. What I also do that you can see in the intro video, that tall tower of stone, is I take a measurement of how tall the building is, and then in combination with the footprint of the build and how tall it is, without having to paste it into the world, I have a very accurate and rough estimate of how much space the building is going to take up, and if the proportions are too off for the build, like if it's even going to look good when I place it in. With Angel Tower, there was a genuine worry that it was just going to be way too tall for the new build. So for this one, I'm just going to do the same thing now that the tower is built. With these, I kind of don't have to do, just because they're small anyways, so I can kind of just picture it in my head, but I'll just take the height markers. But for these ones, for Angel Tower, I'm going to use the blueprints just so I can get an idea, and I'll do little by little. I'll do the footprints of each skyscraper that I'm going to do, as well as every other build that I currently have planned for my city, and then we'll lay it out in the city grounds in the actual world, and we'll have a good idea of where I want everything to be. These builds are coming out great. The next builds in the next video, well, not the next video, but the next video talking about the skyscrapers, we're going to talk about, I'm going to show you the remaster of the Quandafid building, the remaster of the Sibylle building, the remaster of the Dokusan building. Before the video ends, I just want to make a quick note about access to all of the builds that I'm working on. All of the buildings that you're seeing here, those have all been saved as Lightmatics, including the port and the Hall of Alexander. I have made a Patreon that I've linked to in the description and on my channel description in the connected accounts, if that's even an option. Now, a few notes that I do want to say about the Patreon: it is completely free. I hereby solemnly promise that any builds that I have on the Patreon will always be free to download for free. You will never have to pay for any one of my builds, no matter how big they are, even the hall. Link for the Patreon is down in the description, and thank you guys so much for watching.